Hi, everybody. Welcome back to our Skills Accelerator Impact Series. I'm Ann Nadel. I'm our VP of our Generator Skills program, and I'm really excited to welcome Anthony to our interview today and to hear more about his story. Anthony, thank you so much for being here with us.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for having me.
Of course, Anthony is came through our program last year, and he is also a veteran. So again, Anthony, thank you so much for your service to our country. And I would love
Thank
for you to just kind of jump in and introduce yourselves and tell us a little bit about your background.
Okay. Yeah. I was in the military, United States Army, right out of high school. I did encryption and deviation equipment repair. Um, from there, I segued into electronics repair and worked in automation technology for a decade before going back to school. I went to school for geology and
Amazing.
finished a bachelor's in geoscience. Went back to work, ended up in test equipment again. So I went back to school for my master's and wrapped that up last year, and then went through y'all's program, and we're still chopping wood.
Amazing. Yeah, your background, Anthony and I were speaking a little bit earlier, and his background is absolutely incredible, both from the, experience that he had in the military, but also then truly the experience that you had post that with both getting your bachelor's degree in geosciences as well as your master's degree, and then joining our program. And I love to see that, individuals that do have more traditional educational backgrounds also find value in our program. So I'm excited to kind of hear more about that. Let us know kind of what your current status is with regards to employment.
Um, so we're kind of just getting out of the holidays, and I haven't really been actively applying right now, but I did have some interviews set up, and I've got some internship opportunities with a software company that makes one of the software suites that I use extensively in GIS work, and you know, really just getting situated and getting to a point where we're going to be working.
Got it. Okay, great. Well, it sounds like you've got some things in the works, and you'll keep us
Mhm.
posted on how those go.
Yeah, look.
So I guess let's go kind of start from the beginning. What drove you to join the Skills Accelerator program, especially with your extensive educational background? Why did you come to our program?
Well, I kind of had a realization while I was working with in the scientific academia realm that I dealt with data and big data quite often. And, I was in coursework for GIS and remote sensing and things that use large satellite data sets and different things. And, you know, near surface geophysics as a 43-year-old fresh out of school field worker kind of means that I'll be lugging cables through the desert and doing, field work on top of this, that, and the other. And I was just like, man, how do I how do I try and give myself some credibility with the data sets and model building that I've been working with in science, and kind of put that on the forefront so I can be a little older and the new hire role, if you will. And I went through ACS, Adaptive Constructive Solutions, out of Houston. And they were like, well, you can do project management, you can do, this, that, the other. And I really project management was my first, this is applicable everywhere.
Yeah.
This is, a skill set that I know I'm doing as a, first line management and all that for years and years and years. But uh, once I got into really reading about what all of the different um, credentials that were offered, I thought that the Data Plus, CompTIA Data Plus certification really fell more in line with my skill set and giving me some validity in working with big data.
Fantastic. Yes, our data analytics program is the certification does come from CompTIA, which is one of the industry recognized agencies that ultimately like certifies individuals in those areas. So I'm glad to hear that that was of value for you. And share with us kind of about your experience in the accelerator program. How did you balance the training and the coaching with your life outside of it? What did you like the most about the program? Kind of just speak to us a little bit about that experience.
Um, I would say that, the modules themselves, the information wasn't over my head. I thought it didn't, I wasn't introduced to uh, a complete remake of the things that I kind of thought I already knew. It seemed to have a good flow and introduction. It kind of told me what was going to be on the test and why. Then it went into curriculum on how to actually use some of those components in Excel and some other different, dashboard and other things that, kind of already do, but driving home some of the terminology and and what it would be called on by CompTIA.
Ah, gotcha.
and
The language,
so
making sure that all the
yeah,
language matched.
right,
Yep. Okay.
right. So that was one aspect of it that I felt was very approachable. When it comes to what I got the most out of it, I'm thinking just having the interpersonal accountability of another person, another professional that's critiquing what you're doing, how you're doing it, why you're doing it. My initial resume compared to my resume, I actually started submitting to places and getting great looks. Companies like Epic and Esri, and where I'm to that level where it's not just a one interview and here we go, or 1-2 interviews. I understand that there's a handful of us that are going to be prime picks for some of these slots, and really just being able to polish that modern professional look and requirement that I started grad school 5 years ago, and just the implementation of AI and screening initial
Yeah.
resumes is completely different than what it was then. And so how do I learn from professionals who do this all day, every day, month after month, year after year? How can I have them teach me how to do it instead of me trying, would I eventually have gotten to those places that I got with my career coach? Sure, but would I have had the insight, and would it have happened in 2 weeks, or no, it wouldn't have. And I really think that those are some of the stronger aspects you get. You speak with a professional about what it is you need to get done. You don't get the mechanic to come and fix your house. So
Yeah.
gener8tor was definitely able to fill me in on what the modern scope of the job market is, what they're looking for, things like my professional development website, my personal website that showcases some of my work and projects, my LinkedIn presence and followers and interactions on there, being coached in ways that an old Army guy doesn't really try to do the most. I'm not on social media. I'm not on all that. So trying to get everything the way an employer or potential employer wants to see it was really important to me. And then the accountability of having deliverables weekly and staying on task with somebody just reiterates that professionalism that needs to happen when it's when you have a noon call with somebody. You're there 5 minutes prior. You're ready. You're in a state of mind in which you can interact. And I think it's a big transition from the classroom and the podium as far as like a national level convention. If you're presenting you don't really get that interaction or people critiquing you back. This, right away, you got to hear after your mock interviews what you're doing and not doing. So, and setting a timer was one of the things I had to do for my interviews. So,
I love it. Oh my gosh, I love like you just like it perfectly encapsulated kind of like all of the areas of our program. So first and foremost, like thank you for, absorbing the information that we share. I know you worked with one of our career coaches, Aaron. He's phenomenal, and it's very clear that the relationship that the two of you had was very respectful and interpersonal, and that you were able
right.
to really take that information that he was sharing with you. Again, not just from a learning and training perspective from the modules, but really those job search deliverables that, to your point, as the market changes and as AI steps in, and obviously it has already stepped in, but as it continues to step in and we continue to see kind of like how it impacts the job market, one of the things that we do on our team is really try to make sure that our participants understand that, right? So that you're fully aware of you can continue to do things in this way if you choose. However, here's what that's going to do for your ability to, meet with employers, get interviews, even get past that first check of the resume itself. So you are clearly a model student because you actually took all of that in and were able to like make those adjustments.
Definitely. Yeah. I think as soon as I got to a point, it's, it was really, my initial resume, looking back at it, maybe fluffy,
Yeah.
and then by the time, I was turning things in and getting good looks, it was, it's to the point. It's like, it's not, it's almost like I was always way too tentative to actually like boast or brag on my resume,
Like show
right? And
your
that was one of the things,
accomplishments.
right? Because you don't want to be, I don't know the right word for that either, but you don't want to be so full of yourself that somebody's laughing on the other end of this. But I think, where that's how you could dramatize it. But I think, you know, Aaron really interacted with me in a way that was like, no, man, like what you do, how you do it, everything you're doing is cool. Like you need to showcase that. Not, it's like I interview a lot of people. I talk to a lot of people. I've never met anybody who does what you do, how you do it. And it sounds completely cool and fun. So put that in there and let that resonate. And sure enough, it's getting the right kind of looks. So
That's fantastic. And you really bring up a good point too, where when we're working with resume work, it's yes, it's all about content and formatting and making sure it fits into these particular things, but truly it's also about the mindset that the person behind the resume brings to it. And it sounds like you and Aaron were able to work together to really him be able to encourage you and motivate you to share the things that you have accomplished in your life and to allow that to lead the way, so that the employers that you're potentially looking at understand that, hey, yes, I have this education and I've done this particular work, but in addition to that, I drive results. And especially with data, that's obviously a big thing is, we want to use data to inform us better and drive better results. So it seems like it goes hand in hand too with kind of the work that you're actually doing as well.
right.
What advice would you give to anybody who's thinking about joining the program?
I'd probably say that, you know, see it through, do all the steps, do everything, try to stay consistent with it. I think I was allotting, 2, 3 hours, once or twice a week for it. It didn't always take that to finish the modules and or do whatever homework I had going with Aaron at the time. Um, but I would say like staying engaged. As long as you and not even doing too much too fast because even though I'd worked with big data sets, all this in science, a lot of the financial terms and or everything else that was getting covered as far as the language of CompTIA was, it needed time to get in there and meet its equivalent to what I already do in the GIS realm. And yeah, I would say stay consistent and stay with it. Because my program was 6 weeks, and that seemed super, it was enough to get done all of the homework I needed to do. I think I spent a few more weeks studying before I actually went and took the test.
Yep.
Um,
Uh-huh.
so, kind of weigh it out like that. Um, but yeah, just staying consistent. I mean, it's a free program that, you know, is going to give you, like, it didn't just give me the certification. It reiterated that when I was sitting there thinking like, well, you work with big data, you could do data analytics, and it reiterated like, yes, you can and you do. And it didn't take long for that to happen. It took a month and a half of actually doing it.
That's amazing. And you're so right. One of the things that we try to bring is, our commitment to our participants that like we are going to show up every day and make sure that we are doing everything we can to support the dreams and goals that you bring to the table. But that's a two-way street. And the fact that you're recognizing that, the more engaged you are, the more you're going to get out of the program. And ultimately, like to your point, the more confidence you're going to build, and the
Right.
better you're going to feel. And all of those things do play into getting a new job or getting a promotion, because it really is not just about the skills, but it's about the person behind the skills as well. So thank
Right.
you for being able to share that and articulate, because I think that that's something that, we can't necessarily, you can't really put that in an ad. You
Right.
can't really explain that. That's a true human to human piece that has to come through kind of like once you either interact with someone from our team or you ultimately have been in the program itself. So our last question of the day, and again, thank you so much for your time. If you could make one ask to our audience watching today, what would it be?
Um, Entire audience world scope, we'll keep it simple and say just to stay open to change. Uh, if I would have stayed the same person I was 25 years ago for the rest of my life, we'd all be in a bad place, right? But I think molding with the times, changing, not being so hard headed about what I believe is right and wrong, and uh, I think all of that is subject to deviate over time, and so just be open to change and do the work and move with it.
I love that. And it's such a poignant message for, this year. It's the beginning of 2026 and staying open to change and recognizing that we all have a piece in this to play in supporting one another as we move through is incredibly important. So again, thank you so much for being a part of our program. Thank you for your
Thank
time
you.
and sharing about our program. And we're really excited to continue working with you, as you know, in perpetuity. We don't go away. Sometimes it might be a little
Right.
annoying, but it's because we care and we want to make sure that we are supporting all of your career goals, not just from the time that you come through the program, but truly for the rest of your life.
I appreciate it. And it is really comfort driven to know that I have a team of professionals that if I need reference to a salary that they're offering or whatever it may be, moving forward, that I'm trying to get accomplished, that I have that team to be able to help me out.
Absolutely. We are at your speed dial. We're in your Rolodex for people who remember those, um,
Right.
and always will be. So, Anthony, again, thank you so much. And we look forward to continuing to watch you as you continue to grow.
Thank you, Ann.